Welcome to the Artists in Action Paint the Town, Write the Town Awards presentation. Hello, my name is Jim Richards and I'm president of Artists in Action. I wanted to thank all of the artists and all of the writers for participating in this year's event. In these unprecedented times of the COVID pandemic, we're opting to have a virtual awards presentation. We also wanted to be able to share the artwork both in a physical way and also on the internet so that people can access it from the comfort of their home. I strongly encourage you to visit the Elsinore Framing and Fine Art Gallery located at 444 Ferry Street in Salem, Oregon to see the work in person or to visit our website. When visiting Elsinore, they're currently limiting the number of people to 10 people at a time in order to adhere to the social distancing guidelines. So please call ahead if you have groups of multiple people so that they can make sure that they can accommodate you in this time. A big thank you to all of our sponsor locations for this year's Paint the Town, Write the Town event. We had some great locations from last year that returned once again as a source of inspiration, and have had some new locations for this year. We deeply appreciate the sponsor locations for allowing us to come and paint and write in their beautiful surroundings. I also want to thank Brent Allen, the General Manager of Elsinore Framing and Fine Art Gallery, for his continuing support and that of the Elsinore staff and owners, for providing gallery space and website presentations to enable the show to become a reality year after year.
Hey art fans, this is Brent Allen, General Manager of the Elsinore Gallery. We are proud to be hosting this year's showing of Paint the Town with Artists in Action. We have 30 original artworks, plus 10 poetry entries from the Mid-Valley Poetry Group on display in Gallery 444. Here's a few things you need to know about this year's show. First of all, we won't be hosting a public reception this year due to restrictions on large groups. But the gallery is open during regular business hours 9 to 6 Monday through Friday and 10 to 5 on Saturdays for viewing the show. We recommend groups of 10 or less per visit, and masks are required during your visits here. Artists in Action and I have been working hard to provide a virtual showing for this year's event, including video content and online awards presentations for our artists. We also have the entire show available on its own webpage at elsinoregallery.com, as well as through the AiA website. Our page features links to purchase the artwork and poetry, as well as a voting form for the People's Choice Award to be presented at the end of the month. We hope to be able to host live receptions again real soon, as we miss our regular attenders and artists, but we hope that you will take time to view the show in person or online and support our local artists.
The AiA tradition continued in 2020 with a few tweaks for social distancing as we painted, wrote, and created our art during the warm summer. This year, because of the pandemic, artists and writers have had the option to paint, write, or create at home or at another site where they felt safe. As always, everyone was welcome to participate in this event, both members of Artists in Action as well as non-members. This year, we've called upon the experience and the vitality of Salem artist and educator Dana Collins to judge our competition. Dana works and shows her art in the Pacific Northwest.
She is a gallery artist at Elsinore Gallery in Portland, River Sea Gallery in Astoria, and Salem on the Edge in Salem. Her work can be seen in several published books, including Art for Everyone, Oil and Cold Wax, Art Abandonment, The Mixed Media Artist, and Cold Wax Medium. She works in several disciplines depending on her mood or topic. She is an energetic abstract painter, works in plaster, oil paint, and cold wax as well as in acrylic and mixed media. Dana is an avid collector and junker, energized by hunting for materials to use in her found object assemblage, art, or in her salvage collages.
Thank you so much for the invitation to judge this show. I was so impressed when I was just reading through the materials that there were 12 weeks that everyone had the opportunity to go to various locations. And I don't know if anybody did all 12 weeks, but just the idea of getting outside and painting, or writing or drawing, and then going home and finishing the work, and then having to choose only 3 pieces for the show. I was just really impressed with that whole process. When I was asked to be a judge, I was sent a list of things to consider. And in a nutshell, it was basically how well a person, an artist, mastered the mediums that they were using, the materials. Did the painting or the drawing or the photograph reflect a sense of place and characterize one of the locations? Then I was to look at style, appeal, and was the work engaging? Um, Unique approach, creativity, and then the professional presentation. So those were the things I was looking at everyone's work. And I had the opportunity to go online and look at each one. And I did that twice and made notes. And then I got to go in last week and take a look in person. And I think what it came down to is everyone's work pretty much across the board reflected a sense of place. And everyone pretty much mastered the medium. There was just a great skill level in all of the pieces. But what I chose to focus on because of those things was the appeal, was the work engaging, the unique approach. I was looking for things that were a little bit out of the ordinary. I was looking at creativity, and then ultimately it was what took my breath away, what captured my attention, and what startled me. So those were the things that led to the awards that I have chosen. So I'm going to start with the honorable mentions, and the first one is for Debbie Robinson's A New Direction. And I chose this one for an honorable mention because I really liked the sense of place, her successful use of light on the vineyard, well-executed composition of perspective. I like there was a close-up of some of the grape leaves, and there was detail in that, and yet it had, a nice perspective of, I felt like I wanted to walk down that road, down that path through the vineyard. She had a muted color palette, yet there were strong values when I put it into black and white. And I looked, because at first it was like, I was curious about the values, and in a black and white view of this, there were very definitely strong values. And then obviously a beautiful mastery of pastels. Then the next honorable mention is for Barbara Barrick's Shady Afternoon in Bush Park. And with this one, I just kept coming back to it. It was smaller than I expected when I saw it in person, which I almost liked better. It was just this intimate portrait of this tree. And the composition was balanced. Her use of color was wonderful. The marks were very bold and confident. But there were so many layers, and then the little pops of pink just captured my attention. And definitely she knows how to work with acrylics and pastels. Then the third honorable mention is Patricia Young's Days of Wine and Roses. And this one was just such a sense of place and a lovely interpretation of the vineyard. Her use of colors that are soft, kind of muted, but she also, when I got up close to it, and this is what's so nice about seeing pieces in person, is her confident and interesting brush strokes of those rows of grapes, which could be all the same, but it was just really nice to be able to look at them and notice the variety. So for third place, John Mahoney, the Willamette Heritage Center. And it was very interesting when I was viewing pieces online. I didn't know who the artists were at all. And I was debating between two pieces actually. And so when I went to the gallery last week to look in person, I found that two pieces that were kind of in the running for third place were both by John Mahoney. It was his bridge watercolor, as well as this Willamette Heritage Center. And in the end, I chose the Willamette Heritage Center because it was one of those that just kind of took my breath away. That cubistic approach was kind of different from any of the other work. It was refreshing. His water tower was very obviously a water tower, but it was kind of wonky. And, that made me smile. It was, it just captured, and I have a studio at the Heritage Center. So it's kind of the view I have out of my studio window is what he painted. And the composition was balanced. It was a creative sense of place and a unique approach. And there were great value contrasts. My eye moved around with how he used his darks. And it was a modern contemporary framing that he did that it just kind of set it off, and is what ultimately led me to choose this one over over the bridge. So this one was really a fun piece. Then for second place, I've chosen Nancy Ng's Cubanismo. And this one was much smaller than I expected. The framing was great. It just complemented the painting so much. She used a soft palette, but it was definitely a sense of place, very abstracted, but with those kind of gray mountains in the background, there was just a sense of being in the vineyard, but being able to have that long view into the distance. Her brush and palette strokes, I'm guessing it was a palette knife, just from what I could determine, but the brush and palette strokes were both bold and confident. Mastery of acrylics and texture through whatever tools she used. There were good values. Her use of the dark marks made it dynamic, and yet, even with it being energetic, it was very peaceful. And like I said, the floating frame with the black just really set it off and made it appear to be a bigger painting, even in person, than what it actually is. So that one is the one I chose for second place. And first place was Deanna White's Dewey's View. Definitely met my criteria of taking my breath away, a unique approach, creative use of acrylics. It made me smile. The size was a little bit bigger, so it was very dynamic. Obviously, vibrant color, creative texture. She had an interesting perspective. It just drew me in, and I went, and my eye moved all around the entire painting to all the corners. She had an unusual sense of place. I mean, the trees are different colors. The rose just added lines and marks that moved my eye around. And she outlined most everything with black, which was a different way to create a painting, and that really appealed to me. The value of red really added pops of color. And the thing that was a fun thing to discover when I actually saw this work in person is how she did her edges. So it was a cradled canvas, and instead of just a solid color, she had drawn marks all the way around. So it was painted white and it had red marks all the way. So, approaching this painting from the side, it was like, oh, what's going on there? So that was just an added bonus. So this one was fun. That's all I have.
Thanks for being our judge this year, Dana. We appreciate your thoughtfulness and the time spent in evaluating and presenting the awards. We do deeply appreciate it. The Art Department Award is graciously provided by the Art Department, another of Artists in Action's longtime supporters, and now under new ownership by Jessica Ramey.
My name is Jessica Ramey. I'm the new owner of Art Department, and I am thrilled to announce our award for a delightful painting. It's actually a cold wax painting by Nancy Ng called Color Field, and it is lovely. I picked a painting that I would want to immerse myself in, and the colors are remarkable as well as the texture of the piece, and I think it greatly reflects Nancy's talent as well as our landscape. So thank you, and I'm honored to be a part of this award.
Well, thanks again, Jessica. Be sure to stop by and introduce yourself to Jessica and her daughter, Bella, if she happens to be in the store. The Art Department is one of my favorite places to shop for art supplies in the Salem area. The People's Choice Award is decided by vote at the Elsinore Framing and Fine Art Gallery and awarded at the end of the show. So you'll have to wait a little bit in order to see the People's Choice Award. We'll provide a separate award presentation for that award. Congratulations to all of the award winners so far. You can see the artwork on the Elsinore website as well as the Artists in Action website. So please visit virtually or give Elsinore Framing and Fine Art Gallery a visit. Again, at 444 Ferry Street in downtown Salem. Thank you all very much for attending. We appreciate your time. Bye.